Welcome back. The 10th edition of the International Festival of Freedom of Expression and the Press is currently underway in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. As part of its main mission to promote and defend freedom of expression and the media, the festival will pay special tribute to Namibia for its consistent #1 ranking in Africa in terms of media freedom. To share more on the matter all the way in Burkina Faso is Peter Denk, NBC's Head of News and Current Affairs. Mr. Denk, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mina, and thank you for having me.
Mr. Denk, talk to us about the primary goals and objectives of the International Festival of Freedom of Expression and the Press taking place in Ouagadougou.
Well, as you have stated in your introduction, it's the main mission is to defend and promote media freedom and freedom of expression and media, the press, as they would say. And they have been doing that consistently since the first edition of FILEP, as it's known in short. Obviously, they started out the start that they had was a very difficult start. At the time, according to the organizers, they were not really the government of that day. Didn't want them to have that meeting because people from Mali, from Ghana, from all over were crossing the borders and they were blocked. They eventually went ahead with the meeting, but very humbly, being set up in hotel rooms, restaurants, and having their meetings. But they pushed through, and then they had that edition as the first edition in 2000. As a result of this difficult start, they only resumed with Philip in 2007. So after that, they had the meetings after every 2 years, and this makes the 10th edition. So consistently and regularly, they would condemn and any attack on journalists, any harassment of journalists, which unfortunately, regrettably, has really declined the state of journalism, especially in West Africa, as some people that I talked to really was not happy with the state of journalism, especially in West Africa. Various reasons, of course, is the result of that: military conflicts, upheavals, and just general regress of respect for media freedom has led to that. So in short, that is what FILEP is also about, and what they do in terms of defending the right to access, the right to freedom of speech, and freedom of the media.
And today, of course, was the official opening of the festival. Kindly give us, a rundown of some of the activities and happenings that took place.
Yes, today was obviously a highlight among many other highlights that we would experience across the 5 days of the festival. With the opening, we had several speakers. There former people that worked in the media environment within West Africa, and of course the president, as you know. Burkina Faso was subjected to a military coup in January 2022, and they installed what is called a transitional legislative assembly. And the president of that assembly was also the keynote speaker, officially opening the 10th edition of the International Festival of Freedom of Speech and freedom of the press. Obviously, that was a highlight, but for us as in Namibia, and for myself as well, was the statement by Namibia's Executive Director for the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Dr. Audrey Mate, who spoke very eloquently about how the media is respected in Namibia consistently, and Namibia showing commitment to media freedom. Of course, it takes two to tango, as people would say. It's government creating that environment for media to operate freely, and also the media, on the other hand, making sure that they would report and do their work ethically, fairly, and accurately. And that has been why Namibia has been ranked consistently in #1 in Africa by Reporters Without Borders. The general ranking has been consistent over the last few years, giving Namibia the #1 spot in Africa when it comes to media freedom.
Can you elaborate, Mr. Deng, for us on the role that media freedom plays, in promoting democratic values and societal progress in Africa?
Yeah, these are a lot of what the conference is about. Media and democracy, and if you have a free, independent media would operate without bondage, without restrictions, you can have a thriving democracy. But as many people would say at this conference, yes, it's good and well in a democracy that you would have elections every 5 years. They would be declared free and fair. They would be running smoothly and all of that. But where the media comes in is also the role it plays in terms of highlighting the plight of people who goes to polls and vote, and how do they get access to health facilities, to education? How women in particular also are uplifted in democracy. This is the role of media, and that is where the media plays a very, very vital role in making sure that democracy is strengthened. And that is also access to information, because access to information and the right information, you would ensure that people make the right choices, make the right decisions based on information that they would receive freely, they would have access to. And this is where the media comes in, having that role of being a conduit to ensure that society gets the correct information on which they would base a decision.
Well, Mr. Deng, unfortunately, we're almost out of time, but perhaps you can leave us with your final remarks in terms of your expectations for the week that lies ahead in Burkina Faso.
Yeah, I think on a personal note, it's been an eye-opener for me, hearing how media, my colleagues in West Africa and other parts of Africa operate under the type of conditions they operate in, and how serious the decline in media freedom has been across many parts of Africa. The safety of journalists are increasingly becoming under threat, because obviously when you operate in an environment where the military is what you would say the boss, there are many restrictions, and as well as, you are not safe in doing your reporting. So that in itself was a real eye-opener. The other one, which is very much also concerning, is the fact that we see also that the ethics of professional journalism are maybe not even slowly being eroded, but fast being eroded, because people also work in poor conditions, making them vulnerable for what we would call money journalism, and that is very concerning, because if you would pay a journalist to report on your story, obviously everything is out of the window. Professionalism, ethics, accuracy, objectivity, all of that is out of the window. So yes, and if you compare that to where we are in Namibia, and if you look at the rankings by Reporters Without Borders, these are all of the issues. I mean, the countries like Senegal, Mali, even Burkina Faso has shown a drastic drop in their rankings as a result of what is happening in terms of the media freedom space in those countries. And I mean, you could really see Namibia being a beacon in a very, I don't want to use that word, but being a beacon of light in not such a good situation, if I may use that. So for me, that is, and of course I'm looking forward to the rest of the week with Namibia getting that award, being awarded for being a consistent champion of media freedom in the continent, being #1, and that will happen on Saturday evening.
Thank you.
There will be a good festival. You will have time to also sample some very good music and also very good cuisine of West Africa, Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou in particular. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Deng. Thank you so much for your time, and of course, enjoy the rest of your time in Burkina Faso, and we look forward for you to coming back and sharing, of course, lessons learned over there.
Most welcome. Thank you, Nina.
That was Mr. Deng, Peter Deng, NBC's head of news and current affairs, speaking to us from Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso. We'll be right back.